Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us again. It's now time for our daily English news edition, weekdays at 6 p.m. According to the latest report by INSTAT, inflation in Albania has reached its lowest point in the past 13 years. The inflation rate for 2016 has dropped down to 0.2% from the 2.3% that it was last year. It seems that the best efforts of the Bank of Albania did not yield positive results. According to INSTAT, one of the main causes of the decline in inflation is weak consumption, at a time when prices are growing slowly because of unbalanced supply and demand. The financial experts are saying that the relatively low prices in global markets, primarily oil and mineral prices, have had the effect of keeping inflation low. Compared to February of 2015, the highest increase in prices was observed in the category educational services, followed by alcoholic beverages and tobacco, food and beverages, and other categories. Fruit prices rose by 27.8%, followed by vegetables at 9.6%. According to the traders, this is due to the lack of agricultural production in the country, a factor that is magnified during the winter months. The citizens complain that they can barely afford to buy groceries and they are limited to purchasing only the essential items. Compared to January 2016, the largest monthly increase in price was observed in the category food and liquor at 3.3%. The largest monthly decrease in price was observed in the category clothing and footwear by 1.3%. The International Monetary Fund mission will be arriving in Tirana on Wednesday to discuss the economic development of Albania. The mission will be meeting with the Albanian leaders to discuss any changes to be made in the 2017 fiscal package. In an interview for Ora News, the IMF representative Jen Zurenke announced that the mission will be asking the Albanian authorities to remove the tax exemptions on specific sectors, such as the small business sector. The IMF experts will be staying in Albania for a period of about 2 weeks. Among other things, the discussions with Albanian leaders will be focused on economic expectations, on the need for policy changes, and on the medium-term forecasts for the economy. The IMF mission will meet with the new Minister of Finance, Arben Ahmetaj, and with the BOA Governor, Gent Seko. The visit of the IMF mission comes after the recent approval of 2 installments of a €72.4 million loan. The program involves financial support of €330.9 million, divided into 9 installments. The Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta spoke to the media today about the justice reform, saying that the Socialist Movement for Integration will give its maximum contribution. He asked that the Venice recommendations be respected, saying that the Venice opinion should be read with rationality and responsibility. He said, "All the parties have expressed their opinions. Everyone must work to adopt the constitutional package for the justice reform. We all praise the Venice report as a strong reference point and a certification of the best European standards. The parties must be rational and interpret the Venice recommendations objectively. I am convinced that the political class has the willpower to realize this reform," said Meta. "As far as I know, there are 10 issues that the Democratic Party wants to discuss. There is agreement on about 90% of the reform package, meaning that the reform can be concluded with a little more willpower. We have the Venice recommendations for every issue on which we have differing opinions. The SMI wants the reform to be concluded as soon as possible, respecting the Venice opinion. We can ask for the help of Euralius or OPDAT in resolving different opinions, and the SMI is ready and willing to contribute," said Mr. Meta. He added that the commitment of the US and EU ambassadors is constructive and helpful. Regarding the Bureau of Investigation, Meta said that the question of supervision is not important to the SMI. According to him, the efficiency of the Bureau is a more important concern. Ora News has obtained a copy of the proposals for the justice reform by the SMI and the Democratic Party. The 2 parties agree on some of the fundamental issues of the reform, and they have both requested a meeting between Albania's political leaders to attempt to reach consensus. Both parties agree that the establishment of a new Supreme Administrative Court is not necessary. The SMI suggests only one Supreme Court made up of 3 colleges: criminal, civil, and administrative. The Democrats and SMI are also in agreement on the National Bureau of Investigation. Neither party believes that the Bureau should be under the supervision of the state police. The Democrats support the idea that the Bureau should be under the authority of the prosecution, but the SMI suggests establishing an agency of investigation which will be headed by a state board of representatives. The two parties share the same concern about the appointment of members of the constitutional bodies. Regarding the appointment of the members of the Constitutional Court, the Democrats have clearly stated that the members should be elected by the Parliament with a qualified majority. The SMI also believes that the appointment should be made by Parliament, but it should not require a specific percentage of votes. Concerning the High Judicial Council and the Supreme Council of Prosecution, the SMI suggests a reduction from 11 members to 9 members. The party proposes that 5 members be elected from the justice system and 4 from the Parliament. 2 should be proposed by the majority and 2 by the opposition in order to avoid debates over the qualified majority. The Democrats have not proposed such an exact formula, but they base their opinion on the Venice recommendations, meaning that the opposition should have a substantial role in the appointment procedure. They want consensus in the appointments rather than only a 3/5 majority. The SMI and the Democratic Party are divided in their stances on the role of the Minister of Justice in disciplinary proceedings. The SMI wants more power for the Minister of Justice, making him the authority responsible for initiating disciplinary proceedings for judges and prosecutors. They also want the Control Inspectorate to be under the authority of the Minister of Justice. On the other side, the Democrats are very much against this. They believe that this would create a political dependence that conflicts with the Venice recommendations and fails to depoliticize the justice system. A meeting was held today between the chairman of the Justice Reform Commission and the U.S. and EU ambassadors. The meeting took place at the Assembly building, and none of them would comment on it afterwards. The meeting comes after the failure of the political parties to reach an agreement on the reform. Yesterday, the two ambassadors also held a meeting with the Speaker of the Parliament, Ilir Mehta. It's reported that the justice reform was the focus of that meeting as well. They exchanged viewpoints on the reform and on the Parliament's agenda for bringing it to a successful conclusion. Mr. Mehta expressed his commitment to the solid and professional recommendations of the Venice Commission. He familiarized the ambassadors with the Commission for Electoral Reform, and he gave his assurance that the upcoming elections will be in compliance with the OSCE recommendations. The Commission of Statutory Guarantees has partially accepted the request of several Socialist Party members who have asked for an interpretation of the existing party statute. The MPs Ben Blouishi, Arta Dade, and Mimosa Hafizi are among the members who made the request to the Commission. Regarding the much-debated election of the party chairman, the Commission says that the Congress of the party has the competence to determine whether there should be an election or not. Their decision reads, "The Congress can change the agenda of its meeting with a majority of votes. It has all the power and the competence to implement any changes to the statute, including the manner and procedure of the election of the central bodies." That's all of our news for this evening. Thanks for watching, and please join us again tomorrow at the same time. Have a great night.